Hello everyone, welcome to the Journey with Bio Speaks, a platform that shares entrepreneurship journey. My name is Adebayo Ademola and I am bringing you the 6th episode of Women's Corner 2.0. And today we are sharing the journey of Olayinka Aremu, founder, NCO Healthcare Consulting and Agewell Carelink. Stay tuned and get inspired by our journey. Getting to know you. Who is Coach Olayinka Aremu beyond the name?
Oh, my name is Olayinka Aremu. I would say near Bishemiju. I'm originally from Nigeria, from Ondo State, in particular from Ilaje, although they call it. So Olayinka is a registered nurse, midwife and public health nurse. But currently I work as an assistant professor in nursing at UCD, University College Dublin here in Ireland. I also I founded NCO Healthcare Consulting, which what we do there is just to support healthcare professionals, to empower them in leadership roles, career-wise, and also to take up opportunity to go into healthcare businesses. I also founded Agewell Carelink, and it's a new company where we develop an integrated care app or a platform to support older people, connecting them with trusted caregivers, healthcare professionals across the globe. So apart from that, I'm a mother, yes, and I'm a lover of God. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much for sharing your about yourself, right? And also, some of the career journeys you've gone through and you've established for yourself. So let's talk about your personal and educational background. How was your personal background like, and your educational background?
Personal, I think I mentioned. Okay, so being born and raised in Nigeria, I came from a very large family. My dad was a chief and a principal of a secondary school. In fact, we call him double chief because he had 2 or 3 chieftains to tie to. My dad was very educated, so my household, we value education, integrity, and service. My mom as well was a retired primary school teacher who later went into business, into serial entrepreneur. I call her, she's a jack of all trades. I would say she mastered everything. Apart from that, she also got into politics. So my mom was a politician. So my background kind of, form, I would say, my values at the moment. So I have both a blend of discipline, compassion, audacity kind of way. And this has shaped much of my worldwide view today. So yeah, growing up in the town, Okitipupa, for those that know that place, those states. I went to a boarding house, secondary school, and I think I finished my secondary school at the age of 16. I actually got into secondary school at age 10, so finished 16, and my independence life kind of progressed from that because I went to a school of health technology, Akure, where I studied environmental health technology. So I had an OND. First year, second year, I had OND. But then my dad was very adamant. He wanted me to go to university. He insisted that you have to go to university. You have to either study medicine or anything in healthcare. So I had to keep writing, JAMB several times. For some reasons, I didn't get the cutoff. So I went through the pathway of the pre-degree in Obafemi Awolowo University. So from pre-degree, I started my nursing journey. I actually chose nursing during the pre-degree. So yeah, started my nursing journey, finished 2012. So that's kind of how I got into nursing. And in terms of still talking about academics, I got qualified as a nurse 2011, but then afterwards I did a midwifery qualification the next year, 2012, and then the public health nurse registration 2013. I also progressed to do a postgraduate diploma in education because I love teaching. I have interest in teaching. By that time, I had started working as a lecturer, or we call it then a nurse tutor in Seventh-day Adventist School of Nursing Ile-Ife. So that kind of formed the need why I had to do the postgraduate diploma in education. But then after which I did my master's. So I've always wanted to travel abroad, but majorly was to do my master's, but of course, I got married, children coming in, so I had to stay back to do my master's in Nigeria. Then I got this opportunity to work in Ireland, which a friend introduced me to, and I just took the leap. So that's how I found myself in Ireland. Started working as a nurse, worked in a nursing home, worked across clinical settings in different specialty, majorly care of the older adults, which I'm totally now much inclined to. I worked in ED, emergency, I worked in the stroke units as well. Then I started my PhD while still working as a staff nurse. So currently I'm undergoing my PhD. I'm in my I'm going to fifth year by September actually. So rounding up very soon. It's 6 years program. So each phase of my education has just really helped to deepen my expertise, understanding the systems. So now I have better understanding of the systems that work in Nigeria and the health system as well in Ireland. So I've always believed in continuous learning, both formal, informal, and also experiential. So that's been my journey.
Yeah, very, very impressive. That's an impressive background, educational background. And, you've talked about some of your, career journey, but let's talk about it comprehensively, right? So can you walk us through your career journey? How did it all begin?
Yeah, so again, my career, since I got registered, so I'm just going to start from there, from my registration as a nurse. So back in Nigeria, the nursing education system, I went for a degree straight, because the other option was to go maybe to a school of nursing. So, but I did a direct degree. So that was 5 years. After year 3, we had to do our nursing registration, like the licensing. So you have to write the exam. So that was 2011. I became a registered nurse to practice. So I had a license. But because I was still in school as well, and I had to also prepare for the midwifery exam and also prepare for the public health nursing. So didn't work until after graduation. So particularly I graduated 2012. I can remember March 2012 from Obafemi Awolowo University. Great effect, I have to say that. So I got married immediately after my graduation. So that means I automatically kind of did my NYSC service in the states where we lived. So that was Osun State. I went to the Ede camp. I had a nice time during the camp. Then I started working in maternity ward. So by that time, I already did my midwifery as well. So I served in Osun State Hospital, Ashubiaru. So that's where I served. I worked in the maternity ward, labor ward to be precise. So I really loved working there. I had my 2 babies in that same hospital anyways. But after NYSC, of course, I didn't finish NYSC working because I had to go on mat leave. So after I had my baby, I had to wait for a few months, then I started applying for jobs. I knew that I wanted academia. I knew that because right from undergraduate days, I've been very much inclined into leadership, into teaching. I was the class rep for the whole of the 5 years, during my undergraduate days. So I've had that passion, and maybe sort of my background, my dad and my mom being teachers, kind of also give me that inspiration or that interest. So I applied and I started working in a School of Nursing Ife. It was a bit challenging because we were living in Osogbo, but then I had to work in Ile-Ife. So commuting between Ile-Ife and Osogbo, that's about 45 minutes drive, public transport. Yeah. So I worked in Ife in 7 days for 4 years. As a nurse tutor during this period as well. Like I finished my public health nursing exams. I did a postgraduate diploma in education, and I started my master's while working in 7 days. So progressing from that, like I said, so I moved to Ireland to work as a nurse based on just an open opportunity that a friend just introduced me to. Like, we see that you're very passionate about career progression. Why not try this opportunity? So I gave it a try, gave it a shot, and it all worked well. Landed in Ireland 2017, precisely July. I started working as a staff nurse in a nursing home. So it was kind of a challenging transition because, back in Nigeria, there's no nursing home basically at that time. Maybe few, but, it wasn't really a thing. So I haven't worked in a nursing home, especially working with older people. And that kind of shifted, my interest because I had my master's. Like I said, I had my master's before I left Nigeria, and basically my interest was more in sexual reproductive health, and then adolescents, mothers, women, and all of that. But moving to Ireland changed all of that. When I started working in the nursing home, because I really saw the importance of caring for older people, So I would say that I transitioned from clinical area care into education. In Ireland, I moved through those clinical areas. Like I said, I worked in the public hospitals for about 3 years. Then I did a postgraduate diploma, or postgraduate certificate in healthcare leadership and management. And then I went into managerial role for, so I worked in a nursing home as a CNM, and then I got another role in a public hospital as a CNM too, like as a higher level, but particularly working in the patient flow department, where I was responsible for facilitating discharges of patients, from the hospital to the community. After which I saw the opportunity, I already started my PhD, so I was looking out for any academic opportunity. So when I saw the advert from UCD looking for assistant professor in nursing, lecturer above the bar to fill up a maternity vacancy, I just said to give it a try. Even though I thought I wasn't qualified because I felt like, I don't have a PhD yet. But to my utmost surprise, or I would say favor, I got a job, was interviewed. So I transitioned back into academia, even though I've had those clinical experiences and, community experience in terms of working in a nursing home. But I would say that each transition points, at each transition point, I didn't just shift roles. I grew a deeper sense of responsibility. I worked even in the community. I rejuvenated the Association of Nigerian Nurses Midwives in Ireland here. So as the president, I play a very key role in advocacy, workplace advocacy for the international educated nurses and midwives here as well. So this kind of help, kind of boost my experience as well. So I think that's my journey. It's a full circle journey combining nursing, leadership, innovation, and now I ventured into healthcare entrepreneurship, which is a huge one for me at the moment. So it's been an holistic journey.
Yeah, thanks so much. That's very impressive. Like, that's a lot. But let me ask you a question, because you said something about most of your journeys, are pertaining to education and all that. And some younger people used to say education is a scam, right? Now, to you, right? What, keep you going for you to search more knowledge or to seek for knowledge when it comes to education?
Well, I always believe in preparation. They always say that opportunities comes with preparation. So part of the way I prepare for the next big thing, so I'm very visionary. So sometimes, people could call it like she's so ambitious, but I believe that you have to think big. You have to think outside the box. And I know that we all have different capacity and capability, but I always believe that I can do more, I can be more. So I look out for those bigger opportunities and then work towards making myself ready, making myself eligible for those opportunities. So that's why, like I said, I knew that I was going to go back to the academia, even though the challenge, it took me 7 years to be able to get back to the academia. And of course, when you get to a new country, you have to kind of play through the rules, and look at the system, get yourself familiar with how the system works and all of that. So it took me 7 years to get back to academia, but it's just started from me having a vision and having a goal and saying that this is what I want to do and seeking support, So education is definitely not a scam. It could be a scam for those people who don't have a vision when it comes to progressing in that terrain. So for me, preparation was key, and getting all this education and all these experiences and working in different sectors was definitely part of the strategy.
All right. So because of time, so I'm going to, I would enjoy you to you should make it brief, right? Because of the time. Just not just on 40 something minutes more, 46 minutes more. All right. So let's talk about.
That's a lot of time, actually.
That's a lot of time, but when that's a lot of time, but we're just going to manage it, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So let's talk about your brand. NCO Healthcare Consulting, and how did you start? What was the inspiration, and what gap were you willing to fill in the healthcare sector?
Okay, thank you. So the popular NCO Healthcare Consulting didn't just start. I think I went into, I would say, the consulting business. First of all, when I moved to Ireland, year 2018. So, when you move to a different country and you've gone through the experience, there'll be a lot of people who, look up to you to see how can you guide them. And because I've been in academia before, I was just so passionate about, coaching and mentoring other people. I still wanted to maintain, my trainings, my teaching skills. So I couldn't let that go. So I actually founded Synergy International Nursing Network, for those who knew that name. So I started with a colleague, partner with a colleague who was in the UK and Ireland. So what we started then was just supporting nurses or midwives who want to relocate to Ireland or the UK. We were coaching them on, the kind of exams, preparing them for the exams, particularly high LTS and OET. I was coaching OET. And alongside, I was providing career guidance, and support to nurses and midwives. So, but I think during COVID, we couldn't really do much. So that kind of affected the drive for Synergy. So we closed up. But, deep down in me, I knew that I still wanted to do something. So I think about a year after, I relaunched out as NCO Healthcare Consulting. So the name NCO is just acronym for Nurse Coachala. So people started calling me Nurse Coachala when I started the coaching with Synergy and all of that. And I still wanted to retain the brand. I still wanted to maintain that brand. I couldn't think of any other name just than NCO. And so we started off as a consulting company. And what we do, like I said earlier, is to support healthcare professionals in their career progression, as well as healthcare organizations when it comes to operational management, trainings, and support for their staff. So that's what NCO Healthcare Consulting started as. But as time goes on, we have evolved. Apart from training healthcare professionals, we also train staffs. An employer could contact us to train them, when it comes to cultural integration. So we offer training, cultural integration. We offer training when it comes to leadership programs, entrepreneurship. And NCO also started the NCO Mentorship Academy. So we have a mentorship academy that will support nurses or healthcare professionals just to be able to navigate their career pathway and in life generally. So that's what NCO is all about.
All right, awesome. All right, speaking about coaching nurses and all that. So let's talk about yourself as a chief nurse executive and assistant professor. So how do you define effectiveness in leadership in today's rapidly changing healthcare system? So how do you define the healthcare itself?
How do I define the healthcare leadership?
Yeah.
Is that a question? Yeah. So let me make it simple. That to lead in healthcare, you have to have the experience. So you don't lead from the place of naiveness or noviceness. So leadership comes with experience, and then that experience can then be channeled together, put together in order to support other people, the upcoming or the younger generation or aspiring nurses and midwives. So in healthcare leadership, what is important is you have those skills, the skill set, you have the structure, you have the system in place to support, your healthcare workers. So I would say for me, I got into, like I said, I had a postgraduate diploma in healthcare leadership and management. So it's all talking about how to work as a team, like teamwork, how you can lead empathetically, how you can, even talking about costs and, costing system, because in the healthcare, it could be very expensive even to get staffing, to retain the staffs, to train the staffs. So leadership span through all of that for me. So it's not like a one size fits all kind of thing. You also have to be able to tailor it to the need of the organization. Yeah.
All right. So speaking about, structuring, right now you are co-designing a nurse-led care transition to in your PhD research. So can you walk us through the vision and impact of this innovation?
Okay, yeah, thank you. I started my PhD when I was still a staff nurse. I actually started when I was working in a stroke ward, in Mater Hospital in Dublin. So I knew that after my master's, the next thing was PhD, because I've always had the vision that I was going to be a professor in nursing. So I just wanted to keep on with that, that flow. But moving to, like I said, I had my master's in community health in Nigeria. But then I was now working in the clinical area, especially in the care of the older person. So I was keen to see how can I, what can I do to synchronize or to synthesize my academic experience as master's and my then current role in the clinical area, looking after the other people. What was the meeting point? What can I do after this? Because if you're going to do a PhD, you definitely have to have a problem that you want to solve using research. That's what PhD is all about. And then you become the expert in that area. So after a lot of brainstorming, a lot of mind searching, and deep thinking and research, what came to my mind, we just came up was discharge. I saw discharge as the link between acute hospital for older people especially, and then going home. So every other person wants to go home, no matter how lonely it could be at home. They want to be at home. Most of them want to, even if they are dying, they want to die at home. But then because they are old and because they're very vulnerable, they get the rates of morbidity, that they get sick often, and then they get to be admitted in the hospital often. So I sought to see what solution can I bring into making sure that older people do not stay too long, or if at all, they do not even have to stay in the hospital. How can we help them to have a quality life at home? Then I felt based on my experience, again, like I said, I was working in a acute hospital. I saw a gap. I saw that most other people get discharged without follow-up, and, they get readmitted within 2 weeks, within 3 weeks, within 3 months. And I wanted to find out what was the problem. So I enrolled in an evidence-based nursing practice module there where I was working. And during that exercise, I found out that the gap was, there was a huge conflict or gap when it comes to communication between the nurses in the hospital and then the nurses in the community. So the two that I'm co-designing, just to wrap up that for my research, is to make sure that we can improve the communication from nurses who are in the hospital looking after other people and nurses who are in the community receiving these other people, to make sure that there's no loss, of information, to make sure that everything they need is well provided, so that they can be able to provide the quality care for the other people in their home, thereby reducing readmission rates, reducing their mortality rates, because at every opportunity, every time that an older person is readmitted, they have higher rates of, dying. So that's what my studies focus on. But I'm not doing it alone. I'm not just bringing the solution myself. I'm working with the nurses, the staffs, working in those centers to make sure that we design something that is really worthwhile.
Sounds cool. All right. So, speaking about quality healthcare and trust. Now, what does evidence-based practice mean to you, and how do you apply it in both clinical and educational space?
Well, I think I touched on that I enrolled at an evidence-based practice module, and that was like, I think, a year program. So to me, evidence-based practice is the backbone of quality care and quality teaching, because you have to have evidence. Like, there's no point, it's not a trial and error. There have to be facts and figures. So it's about integrating the best available evidence with professional expertise. So there are researchers, that's why people do research. The research is to be able to test and say, okay, why is this not working? Why is this so like this? It's just to provide answer to questions. So in clinical settings, it ensures patient gets the safest, most effective care. And for those of us who teach now in the classroom, evidence-based practice, what it does is prepares future nurses to think critically, to ask questions, and base their decision on data and not just tradition. So I made it a point to role model this, whether I'm teaching, mentoring, or consulting. That's why almost every element of what I'm doing, even with NCO, with the academy, with mentoring, with Agewell that is coming up, we include research. We make sure that it is research-based, it is evidence-based, because there's no point reinventing the wheel. So we must move from just intuition only, I think, maybe, to informed action. And that's how we elevate standards.
All right, thank you. So let's look backwards, right? How was the startup journey like? Was it easy? Did you face challenges? Were you almost giving up, right? So can you just share a little bit about your startup journey?
My startup journey. Okay, so honestly, for a long time, I didn't think myself as a businesswoman or as an innovator, call it. I just wanted to solve a problem. I just wanted to bring a change. I just wanted to make things a process. Either a process or an outcome. I just want things to be better. So I invest my time into thinking of the possible ways, researching into the possible ways. And when I say research, just looking at what works somewhere else, what has worked somewhere else, why is it working? And I just stay clear on that and see, can we apply this to this setting? So, technically, my startup journey started with NCU. Again, with Synergy, when we were doing Synergy International Network, it was more like a network. It was just more of like supporting. We have a community and we were sharing resources. So I didn't really see myself then that I had a startup because, well, the network there was registered. We registered it with the CSA in Nigeria. But then I didn't understand the business of healthcare, or I didn't really understand it because as a nurse, nobody teaches us anything about business, so I didn't have that knowledge. But when I started NCO and I knew that I wanted to do more, especially in Ireland, I knew that I had to have the basic knowledge when it comes to business, when it comes to, establishing a business that I consult in friends. So it wasn't easy. I struggled. I, do a lot of trial and error. I did a lot of things myself that I could have outsourced. I just wanted to do everything myself, maybe due to lack of support again. But then again, I wouldn't know if the support was available because I don't even know where to look for it, So it was tough. I was the CEO, I was the admin myself, I was the HR, I was the social media manager. So like you're doing a lot all by yourself, you understand? So it wasn't really easy. But then I took a business coaching program that just changed everything for me. So since then, I think things are better.
All right, great. Things are better. Right, let's talk about business a little bit. Right, speaking about business, right, for nurses. So many nurses struggle to transition into business. So what's your advice to those who want to move from, maybe from the boardroom or to another business aside from nursing?
Okay, I love that because that is actually my current niche now, helping healthcare professionals, not just nurses, to transition from bedside or their regular work that they do now into something nice, something that they can monetize their expertise. So I've been preaching this for a long time now. So it starts by believing that your clinical skills are transferable. Back then we always think that nurses can only work in the hospital, or all you have to do is to give injection or to listen to an order, take an order from a doctor, and all of that. No, but nursing is more than that. So the same thing applicable to other healthcare profession, either as a doctor, a physiotherapist, an OT. The license that you have, that certificate or the qualification that you have, the same way you're working in the hospital, you can do the same thing in the community. In fact, now I believe, because I'm a community health nurse by my master's as well, I believe that we should focus more on the community, on supporting the community, on providing our services to the community. If we can bring all of our skills to supporting the community, they wouldn't have to come to the hospital, right? So as nurses, for instance, you are equipped with your critical thinking, problem solving, people management. So it's beyond just medication. It's beyond just IV, it's beyond just bed making or wound dressing. All of these assets, all of these skills that we have are assets in business. So my advice is, get clear on your why, invest in learning the business side of things. Like I said, I didn't really know about that, and I made a lot of errors, wasted a lot of time and money. But most importantly, also find mentors, coaches, right? If you have to pay in most ways, which I will pay for it, like you have to pay for the knowledge, start small. Don't want to do everything at the same time. Just look for a niche, stay consistent, and don't be afraid to reinvent yourself. So there are different opportunities. I've started sharing some of that. So many high value healthcare businesses that, healthcare professionals can do beyond the bedside. So just to say that your experience is very valid and valuable.
Yeah, true. All right. So let's talk about professional balancing, right? So you mentor professionals and you teach future nurses. How do you balance being a coach, professor, executive, and a PhD student?
That's interesting. I get asked that question a lot of times, to be honest. I'm just going to start like this. There's nobody, right? There's nobody that would say, I have it all figured out. In fact, I was listening to one clip on Instagram that they were asking the person that, how do you manage juggling this and all that? And the person's response was it just resonates with me. You know what the person said? He said, I don't manage. Yes. So it's really hard to balance. It's a delicate balance. And I won't pretend it's always easy, but I've learned to live by seasons, by structure, and by support. First thing, I prioritize what matters in each season. Like, you can be in this season of where you have to get things done quickly because, time is also, they said time is not your friend, and there are times, there are seasons. So at every season, I believe that I'm still in this age where I could just do so much and give back and impart my word. So I prioritize what matters in my season. As an academia, I prioritize my PhD, I prioritize, my academic teaching first before every other thing, before my coaching, of course, you have family as well. You need to be able to set time. What is important at this time? So if I have 5 things on my table, I just bring out my, my prioritization scale, imaginary prioritization scale. What can wait? What do I have to do now? And what are the consequences of those things I do not do at that time? If the consequences are not great, they are not much, I'll leave them and I'll focus on the one that I know if I don't do this at this time, the consequences are higher. That's how I prioritize, and I'll say that's how I balance. So, but I also remain very adaptable. I'm very intentional with my time and energy. I have a strong support system. I would say that's very important, like I said. And knowing when to say no has been very crucial. Initially I would take on everything. I'll take on every speaking engagement. I've been invited to speak here, to do this here, collaboration, but I've learned over time to say no. I also schedule time to rest and reflect. I don't know if you know about the reset retreat that I now organize for healthcare professionals to take time to reset, to rest, and to reflect. And we've had 4 editions so far. So that tells you how much I'm really passionate about, rest and reflection. Because I believe that when I'm well, I show up better in all my roles. And at the end of the day, everything I do will just flow from the same mission. And people would think, oh, she's just doing magic. But it's not magic, it's just me.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, so speaking about resting and reflecting, right? How do you stay grounded? What keeps you going? What keeps motivating you to keep pushing?
I think I touched about that. I think what keeps me going more is knowing the fact that there is more to do. Yeah, that's what keeps me going when I have, a task ahead that there's more to do. And I also look at it that if I don't do it, probably nobody would do it. Well, maybe nobody would do it the same way I would do it, because I believe that we have all been equipped differently. I have a strong faith base, and I believe that we all have an assignment per time. So once I have that in mind that I have to do something, I just go for it. That doesn't mean that there are no challenges. That doesn't mean that you won't face any roadblock. But I think what keeps me going is the fact that this needs to be done. And if I don't do it, then maybe I'm failing in that area. So that's a lot of motivation. Also, when you have a lot of people who look up to you, you have people who call you role models, who tell about how you inspire them so much. You just want to keep going. So I believe more in impact. I believe in purpose. I believe that by doing what I do, setting a legacy as well.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about your stories, your success story. I know you have a lot of success stories, but I don't know if you can share one success stories from your consulting or coaching practice that deeply resonate with you.
Yeah, you're very right by saying there are so many success stories.
Yeah.
I'm just going to really start because I've had different, when you say consulting, coaching. So when I started Synergy, if a lot of people still call me Synergy nurse, because I have seen a lot of people who I supported maybe in their IELTS or their OET training, or those who I have helped when they are preparing for their registration exams. As a matter of fact, I was able to provide an on-site, in-person mock practice session for 15 international nurses, midwives, mental health nurses from Nigeria at the same time. And all of them passed at once. They passed at once. So now all of them are working. They've been working for years now in Ireland. And each time we connect, each time we see, I could see that joy, I just feel like I have a role to play. I had a role to play in this person's success. So their success story is kind of also my success story. So that's kind of, I would say, a success story that really resonated with me and that I'm really grateful for. But recently, since I started the healthcare entrepreneurship program that I do, which I call the Healthcare Experts Program, supporting healthcare professionals who want to go into the business side of care, or who want to accelerate into leadership, executive leadership or managerial position, not just change your role, but taking it higher. I have about 15 clients. This year I actually started off that I was going to take only 10, but the request was coming, so I had 15. And the plan was it's a 1 year full program. We go through different modules and make sure that they reach their goal within that period. But I'm so grateful that out of the 15, they didn't start all at once, but I have 6 business owners just before the mid of this year. 6 business owners who didn't think that they were going to start, they were going to be called a founder or a CEO, but because they engaged with my coaching program at the experts, they are now CEOs, they are now founders themselves. So that alone, it's success for me. So through my coaching programs, I've uncovered not just professional strengths, I've helped people to overcome their self-doubt. And fast forward, most of them has transitioned into a better, persons, especially making more money. So that's my story.
Well, very interesting story. All right, so let's talk about, you made mention about leadership. So please, what's your leadership story?
Okay. So simple. My leadership style is transformational. So I'm a transformational leader. I believe that every person has something unique. They have strength. So what I do is I hunt for those strengths. I focus more on the strengths of the people that I work with to make sure that they bring in those strengths to make things better. Through that, I also believe that I could learn, from the people I work with or the people that I mentor, for instance. I call it reverse mentorship. So I can learn from anybody. The most important is that we have something we are working towards and we can challenge all our energy, all our resources, all our strength into bring it out to life. So my leadership strength is transformational.
All right, transformational. All right, let's talk about your favorite quote. Do you have a favorite quote? Do you have a daily thing you recite? A lot of people have their rituals, motivational quotes, spiritual, and all that. So, what's your motivational quote?
Well, I won't say a motivational quote. Like I said, I'm a faith-based person, so everything that I live by is in the Bible. The Bible is my daily mantra. So, because I believe that the Bible has everything we need to survive, even in the marketplace, But I just believe that you just have faith. Hebrews 1:13, you just say, have faith. If you have faith, of course, faith without works, is dead. So if you have faith, then you can put in the work and you're sure that there's going to be results. So I just say, have faith.
All right, have faith. All right, now speaking about faith, right? So how does spirituality fuels business?
Spirituality, okay. So one side of me don't try not to bring in spirituality in in my business. Or I was sharing with somebody just this week, and they were saying, how do you do this? I just said that everything I do, my brand now, I believe that even though it's a personal brand, it's also my personal lifestyle. So what we live by, what we believe in, a lot will reflect in your business. It will reflect in whatever you do anyways. So if I have faith in myself that I would do this, then the same thing, I will have faith in my clients that they can do. And I kind of transfer that as well, helping them to see better, helping them to know that they can do it. They can be whoever they want to be, because I believe that the Bible says, greater is he that is in me and whoever is in the world. And that whoever, that doesn't necessarily mean a human being. It includes challenges. So I go with that mentality as well, so it's important if you have a religion or if you are spiritually inclined, bring all of that as well into your business, into your academics, because it's a lifestyle and you can't separate. You just like saying, oh, I'm a Christian, sit at home. Christianity, sit at home and going to work. No, that means you're not being real, you're not being authentic. So I believe it all works together. And as Christians as well, we are meant to transform our world. So I see my business as a marketplace. In fact, I started calling myself a career minister. So I don't necessarily have to be on the pulpit, which I do sometimes. I'm a youth coordinator in my church. But then I don't necessarily have to be on, do all of that, give a life to Christ. I believe that my lifestyle could also help people to, draw them to Christ, even in the marketplace.
Awesome. All right. So are there any misconceptions in the medical field? And, if given a chance, what would you like to correct?
In the healthcare space, right? Okay. In terms of misconception, I think I touched a little bit about number one, that healthcare professionals are not limited to the four walls of the hospitals, for God's sake. So if you see somebody who says, I'm a nurse, but they are not in the hospital, don't think less of them. Don't think, you're not even a real nurse. We've heard that, like we've seen that. And you say, oh, because you don't work in the hospital, you're not even a real nurse. For that person to have that license, not a quack, to have that license as a nurse, that person has been equipped, has gone through the training. Now, what is left is you can then practice this in any setting. And I'm saying us because I'm a nurse, and that also cuts across every other healthcare professional. Now, I have somebody who is a radiographer. You will say, what would a radiographer do without the hospital? But there are so many things that a radiographer can do without necessarily being in the hospital, especially in this age of, technology and AI and all of that. You can function ultimately 100% as an healthcare professional outside the four walls of the hospital. So what I would say is, for people, embrace it, because it's actually changing the world, making the world better, that healthcare professionals also can practice in the community and in the public. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so let's talk about some of your recognitions. I know you're an award-winning coach, so can you please share some of your recognition with us?
Oh my God, fire. Okay, so recognition is really humbling. But I believe that it's not just about the awards. Yes, my son was telling me that, Mom, I think you need a bigger share for all your awards. And then she encouraged me, and I got a bigger one, a new one, because at a point we could not even find spaces to put the awards. But I also know that I've only just started. But most importantly, what is more satisfying for me is the impact. So impact is the real reward. For me, success is measured by the lives we change, by the barriers we broke, by the legacies that we build through what we do. So when someone tells me your words change my direction, or if they say that you help me find my voice, that's the impact I treasure the most, not just the physical award. But in terms of award, I'm just going to start from the most recent, and then I'll see if I can remember everything is significant, but some more significant one. So recently, I was recognized with the award of Healthcare Leadership Excellence award at the just concluded African Health Summit Ireland, the African Healthcare Award in Ireland, which is the first of its kind. That was really humbling, because I feel like there's so many Africans in Ireland, so Africans working in the healthcare, so why me? So it was really humbling. Moving on, I'm just looking at my shelf as we speak. I have another award from the Shiro's Global Award. I have the Nurse of the Year Award in 2023, Nurse Mentor of the Year Award. I have, what's that one? So, well, like I said, there's a lot. I also won an award from MCA, which is the Digital Transformation Leader Award. I won a Digital Health Leader, it's Digital Health Innovator from the African Digital Health Innovators as well. So many, but I said they're just testament to the work that I do, and so on. So it's humbling, but I'm also grateful, and I see it as an inspiration to do more. When somebody recognizes your efforts, you just a call that there's more to be done.
Yeah, definitely there's more to be done. I think you need to also create more shares for more awards, because there's more to be done. Yeah, so looking ahead, what legacy do you hope to build in the nursing and in the healthcare space?
So I love legacy because I believe that some people, actually laid some legacies that we live by at the moment. So I do love legacies. There's a lot of things that I wish that I could change. But one thing I'm working on is mentorship. I want to be remembered as someone who expanded the definition of what nurses can do and who they can become. My legacy is about creating pathways through mentorship, through leadership, through innovation and equity. A very strong advocate for equity, making sure that everyone, irrespective of their age, their gender, has equal access to the same quality of healthcare. But I'll come back to mentorship again, especially in the African healthcare region, and generally that we lack mentors. We used to lack mentors, or some people don't even know that what they were doing was mentorship. So I hope to leave behind just systems, tools, mindsets that will outlive me in these areas, that will inspire others to lead boldly, to care deeply, and to build strategically. So that will be my legacy in the healthcare space.
Yeah, awesome. I look forward to it too as well. Yeah. So finally, so
Oh
if
God.
finally, I think a lot of questions, right? So finally, if you could speak to your younger self as a nursing student, what advice would you give to her?
I'm just looking at my picture when I first qualified now.
Okay.
I think I'll get to that picture. It's wearing that white uniform. And, we have that cap, white cap as well. If I tell myself then, I didn't know that there was more ahead. It was just that, that immediate, just get your degree and all of that. I'll tell her that you are more than enough. I'll tell her that there is more to you. There's more ahead of you. I'll tell her to trust her voice. I'll tell her to embrace her journey. And I'll tell her never to shrink to fit into small spaces. Because I believe that she has more and the world needs what she carries, So work tall, stay curious, and don't wait for permission to lead. Do not wait for permission because nobody will give you the permission to lead except you are audacious about it and you step forward. And that act alone will transform the life of others and your generation. So go for it.
All right, great. All right, so we've come to the end of the interview section. Thanks so much for sharing your strategy with us. And we believe that our audience will also learn from it.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share my piece, my story.
Yes, so we've come to the end of today's episode of Women's Corner 2.0. We hope you've learned from our shared experience, right? So as you all know, Women's Corner magazine is also out and you can also get your copy too as well and get motivated, start small and grow big, right? And if you also want to share your story, you can reach out to us via our email. Like, subscribe to our channel. Thank you and stay safe.